with that, I will move to Jayati. The first question to her, uh, I mean, there are two questions to you, Jayati. And the first question will be, what is the responsible consumption and where are we on the responsible consumption map? And I would also like you to touch upon the second question. What are the reasons for such a low uptake on responsible consumption, and therefore what can be done?
Okay. Thank you, Professor. I will try and answer that. You've already explained in detail what SDG 12 is, and here my focus in the next few minutes will be to bring the attention or shine the light on ourselves. Somewhere along the way, we have started to believe that the power to take care of things lies outside of us, which is with the governments and with the corporates, and there is going to be we're going to touch upon what the producers and the corporates need to do in the next session. But there is a substantial onus of taking care of things on ourselves. And this diagram looks very, very confusing. It is not. One of my favorite diagrams ever. Use it everywhere. From the pretty much one of the seminal works on connecting economics to biodiversity, which has come out by it's called the Dasgupta Review for those who are interested. Here you can see very easily, if you look at the ecological footprint part, that it's a function of human population, human economic activity per capita, and the efficiency with which the biosphere's goods and services are converted. Now, there is very little play that we have, or very little in our hand that we have in terms of human population and efficiency. Efficiencies are pretty high and almost optimized in a lot of the sectors today. What do we have in our hands is the human economic activity per capita. So that's the one variable that we can influence, and that's something that clearly is the power in our hands. So to put it in a very simply, this is what responsible consumption is for me. That understand that if you want the earth to continue to exist, and it's that dire a situation now, if you want the earth and the species on earth to continue to exist, you need to reconsider the human economic activity. I mean, how much are we consuming, how much are we producing, where is the rationality there? Let's get into, according to research, how responsible are we? So this is a 2019 report. This is pre-COVID. AT Kearney says that over 70% of those surveyed in India are looking for brands that are sustainable and trustworthy, and this is a much higher number than the global counterparts. Now, the interesting thing is that out of this, 75% of the respondents who said they are looking for sustainable products and services were born after 1990. There is hope there because that is increasingly becoming the largest percentage of our population. But it makes us wonder, all of us who were born before 1990, what are we, how are we consuming? What's going on? And it's something that we need to pause and think about. Now, this looks like a very, very nice figure, 70%. Those of you who've been following, many of you may not have seen this, but when we convert the intent to actual action on ground, the numbers don't look so promising. And I'm picking up just simple things which impact our immediate, for example, the air that we're breathing in right now as we sit in Delhi. Cars. We know vehicular pollution is a very, 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 very large component of the pollution that we experience in Delhi and the whole of North India and Bombay and everywhere. We just talk a lot about Delhi, but it's pretty much everywhere. Electric vehicle sales is 1.6% of total sales, and this is because a large number of two-wheelers and small autos and a lot of the fleet sales cars have moved to EV because of that. So which is the highest growth, and what are people buying right now? SUVs. So we cannot even argue that electric vehicles are so expensive and that's why people are not buying it, because that's not true. They are buying cars which are upwards of 20 lakhs. They are buying cars upwards of 20 lakhs. They are a huge contributor to the air that we're breathing in today. So if the city or the country is going to focus so much on that segment, then well, we can say we're interested in sustainability, but we're really not walking the talk. Uh, just on the lighter side, these are the songs we're listening to, right? Each of these songs are telling us that you must have a Lamborghini or I'm going to take you out for a ride on a Rolls Royce. And Jaguar is absolutely important if you need to have a fulfilling relationship or a girlfriend, right? So if that's what I'm saying and that's what I'm listening to, then do you blame me? Right? I want a girlfriend or I want a boyfriend or whatever, whichever way. And I need to be respected in society. Of course, I need a Lamborghini, Rolls Royce, or Jaguar because there are no songs anymore saying मैं cycle पे जा रहा था. That's not happening anymore. So yes, so implementation on ground, terrible. Um, Plastic consumption was at 11 kgs per capita in 2020 pre-COVID. This has increased in leaps and bounds, and we were looking at would have anyway reached 20 kgs per capita consumption of plastic by 2030, which is possibly going to exceed now because for some reason the consumer has decided that plastic is clean and safe. If only they knew that the coronavirus actually stays for longer on plastic surface than on your hand. So it is a huge amount. So if you ask me, answering your question, Professor, where are we on the responsible consumption map? We are at a stage of not really being aware or not being mindful of our actions. That's where we are. So this is it. And plastic has made a huge comeback in our whether it's our the vegetable vendor. You look outside and you'll see the vegetable vendor distributing plastic left, right, and center, saying that of course nobody's going to buy my vegetables if I don't give it in plastic. If you just pause to think for 10 seconds, the number of times you actually make an effort to take your own shopping bag out, you will get your answer, right? Or the number of times we just accidentally just use. I mean, we don't care really. There is a plastic straw or something which is there. We just really didn't even notice it. So that's where we are. So your other question. So why are we not consuming? What is the reason for this? This we know that it's affecting us, it's affecting our health. So why are we not consuming responsibly? And this is based on behavioral economics and huge amount of data which has been gathered over the years. So some of the things are that it's very invisible damage. The adverse impact is not obvious. It is very obvious to see, oh, if I go out and somebody coughs on me, I will get corona. That's an obvious thing. I can see that. But I really can't see the impact of having used that plastic just unthinkingly. I don't know. So, just pause for a second and think of how, I mean, do we know how much our action actually affects our own health? Yeah, so it's just something to think about. Long-term damage. So the event horizon is too far. It's too far. Like in COP26, we talk about 2050. India has committed to 2070 when we're going to start, looking at phasing out fossil fuel. Everything is very far in terms of environmental impact. It's very far. We don't know how our driving a certain kind of car or a diesel car today actually impacts the world or impacts me immediately and in future. For example, the question I have here: do we know how climate change will impact our salaries, forget livelihoods, our actual salaries? Do we know that? So these are it's too far. It's very difficult to join those dots and actually understand how this impact happens. These are some questions for all of us to think about. Pretty much the last little bit. So the other thing is peer pressure. Yeah, my friend has a Jaguar. So just to share a very interesting example. So a friend of mine bought a BMW and another friend of mine bought an EV. The one who has bought an EV, I hope is listening in. What did we do? So we clapped and celebrated when my friend bought the EV. And the person who bought the BMW just kept sitting there thinking, hey, I paid 3 times more of that and they're not even looking at it. So that's the reverse of the peer pressure or the negative peer pressure that I'm talking about here. So, but if you are going to see this kind of a behavior around you where there is consumption, you are going to want to do that. You are going to want to buy a fashion label, and you're going to want to do those things because that's what's happening around you. So just think about it. How many times have we felt shy to challenge this existing practice? Just think about it. The default mode. So can you think of activities we end up doing because it's always been done this way? Like my favorite one is giving water. A person comes to your house, you just give water. The person does not want to drink water. The water will be wasted, and you will throw it away after that. But we just do it. It's something we've done. Uh, Gallons and gallons of water is wasted just like that. The two diagram or the two photos you see next to you. One example is from Zomato. Zomato said, if you do not want cutlery, you need to click this. Nobody clicked it. The percentage of people, and I have data on this, was less than 1% who clicked that because just nobody thought. Now they made it a default. You will not get cutlery. If you want, then you click. Similarly, for the towels and linens in hotels, close to 0% people actually said, hey, I don't want my linen to be washed every day. So they made it into the other way. We will not wash your linen because it's huge wastage of water. But if you want us to wash it, then we will. So just think of us who are in this call today. How many of us have actually sat and looked at that when we're in a hotel or when we're ordering food on Zomato? Have we said, you know what, this is plastic container, I don't want it? Have we sent that feedback? Have we done? Yeah, have we really put our mind to it? So most of us have not. So that's where we are in terms of consumption. And just the last little bit. So what can we do? Accept that the power is in your hands. It's not in hands of your Prime Minister and HUL and Greta Thunberg. It is in your hands. Why will the government and corporate make a change if you don't want them to? To give you an example, like a very short example, Ibis Hotels, I did some little bit, I was talking to them, and they tried to remove plastic completely, and they even put up bottling plants. Come COVID, the guests refused to have water from the glass bottles. They said, we're not going to have, this is unsafe. They had to bring the plastic bottles back because they didn't want to lose business, quite obviously. So it's in our hands. If we don't demand it, it's not going to happen. Global demand for Amazon to stop using plastic and over packaging has led to internationally reducing of packaging. In India, we haven't cared very much. So they continue to send us enormous amounts of plastic. Get aware, read labels, what's going into what you're buying. Read labels. Do not take air, water, and soil for granted. They are assets which deplete. Uh, don't just put out that glass of water when nobody wants to drink it. Don't leave your glass of water undrunk. Don't take that air outside for granted. You can see that how relevant it is for us today and how relevant it was for all the corona patients who gasped for it. So don't take that for granted. Just don't. And reduce. Professor talked about the 5 R's of circularity. All of the others still have an energy component. Still need, even to repurpose or to recycle, etc. You still need some energy component. Reduce. Just question whether you need this at all. Just to end this, I haven't bought a single article of clothing for the last I don't know how many years. I'm fine. It's okay. It doesn't change my life or affect it adversely at all. So just the reduction or reanalyzing how much we need is possibly at the core of responsible consumption. Thank you. Professor, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Jayati.